Hi, and welcome to the ABQ show. I'm Wally Drangmeister, and this is a show where we talk with the people that are making Albuquerque a fantastic place to live. My guest today is Sonja Doing. She is what I like to call an entrepreneur, an author, and an athlete, and we will talk about all those. Sonja, great to have you on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting.
Let me get this thing out here. Sonja has written a book. It's called Toy of the Gods, and
Yep.
I actually bought it and read
Yeah,
it. I like
yay.
it.
Thank you.
And it's one of those books that the way, I'm not sure if you designed it this way, I'll let you tell me, but I can see a movie in the future for that. So tell us tell us about and how this project got going.
Okay. Well, first of all, I think all authors would love to see their book in a movie.
Yes.
But the inspiration kind of came from, I was watching a documentary about the Amazon and how it's so rarely explored because it is difficult to traverse the river.
Right.
And so I used to be more of a sci-fi writer, and I was thinking, what would that ship look like that could travel the Amazon? And then sort of the characters and the idea kind of grew from that initial idea.
Yeah. Well, how's the book being received, and what do you do to promote it, and talking to people about it?
Whew, well, I'm getting a lot of great reviews on Amazon,
Yes.
so I'm really excited about that. I did actually just fire my publisher, so it's going to disappear from Amazon sometime in February, and then I have to republish it because I wasn't really happy with the work my publisher was doing.
Right.
But I'm speaking at libraries, I'm going to different cities and talking to groups of people about how to write, as well as writing creatively and about Toy of the Gods, and how I went to the Amazon, and so yeah.
And so you did go to the Amazon for research for the book?
I did.
Yeah, so tell us
right?
about how that went.
It turned out I quit my job at UNM because I had a little bit of money, and I went and traveled for 7 weeks in Costa Rica, Panama, and Peru. And so part of that journey was to go to the Amazon in Peru. So I went to the Amazon basin, went to Posadas, Amazonas, which is a eco resort out
Yes.
in the Amazon, and it's kind
And
of
there's
like
an eco resort
there
in the book.
is. It's kind of part of that story. And so definitely the things that I researched and found in the Amazon are definitely in the book, and they really brought the book to life.
Yeah. Well, and then you talk about the process of writing. I know that's your business as well, that you
Yeah.
help writers. Tell us, what the entrepreneur side of your writing career is.
Okay, so I run a business called Plot Duckies, and Plot Duckies is all about helping creative writers write their creative story.
Yes.
And so I have events, like I have the short storyathon coming up, and that is a 3-day weekend where you come in Friday night, we come up with ideas for your story. Saturday is all day writing, editing, producing, reviewing each other's work. We either hire a graphic designer for a cover, or we make our own through Canva. And then Sunday we publish a short story to Amazon, which is a great way to start creating a fan base if you want to become an author, or you eventually want to publish novels. And it's also a good way to intro if you're writing a full novel. So one of my short stories is it's called Ire of the Gods, and
Right.
it's a backstory about the god who's in this book and an explorer that's kind of introduced in this book, and it introduces what happened to the explorer back in the early 1900s.
Well, you bring up some very interesting topics. One, that you're having to fire your publisher and do some of that yourself. ProView Networks has really been on the cutting edge as kind of the media landscape changed a little bit. Not everything is about the networks and TV. There's other networks that are online and in cable and other things. And then
Right.
the same thing with writing. So
Right.
talk to me a little bit about that idea of building an audience, because you don't need a big publisher. You don't need to go talk to somebody in New York if you can build an audience. And
Right.
what are some of the best ways that you found to do that?
So building an audience, number one is, I feel short stories kind of starts to build that audience, but also getting out and connecting with people in the community.
Yes.
And talking to them about what you're doing and what you're writing. And then also, so I am part of a writing review group called Kirky Quills. And I think that was huge, not only to kind of get an audience, but to also find out what worked and what didn't work with my book before I published it, and
Right.
so I can make it a better book.
Yes.
And then also, so for example, when my book first came out, or even before it came out, I did it in pre-sales. I sold 100 books before the book was even published. So, and that meant I had to email all my friends and family and say, hey, I've got this book. And if I hadn't have done that, 50% of them probably wouldn't even know that I had a book, right?
Right.
Because not everyone
And
is on
these are
social
people
media.
that you know.
Yes.
And they wouldn't have known you had a book if you hadn't reached out that way.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. And so even on, not everyone's going to be on social media, and even if they are, if you post today, not everyone's going to see that post.
Right.
So you have to think more about email and creating an email list on through your website, offering something free on your website. So I actually offer the pre-story to Toy the Gods for free on my website that people can sign up for. So then I have their email address, and if they liked my short story, and I send them an email and say, hey, there's this new short story out here, they might purchase that, or they might be interested. So growing your audience from people you know, as well as growing an email list through your website and connecting with people, but then also, going to events and talking to people and making connections.
Okay, so I'm going to thumb through here to get the exact number. So this is 250 pages.
Yep.
I know there's this thing called writer's block. I've heard of it. I've suffered from it. What is your process you use? How do you make sure that you get words on into a computer on paper when you've started a project?
So I have a couple of processes, but one I love is kind of I don't know if you've ever heard of National Novel Writing Month.
Mm-hmm.
So I do that every year, and I'm actually a liaison for Albuquerque. And so the idea is in November, you write 50,000 words.
Right.
And in order to get that done, you have to basically push yourself to write as fast as you can.
Right.
And you don't edit.
Yeah, you don't edit. You just got to get it out there.
Correct.
Yes.
So, so that's the idea. You just sit down and you write. You don't edit. Leave editing for some other time.
Right.
And it actually works better because if you can write through the whole story, and then walk away from it, and then come back to it a month later and start working on it, like I'm working on Gamble of the Gods, which is book 2,
Right.
and I'm reading things now that I wrote last year, and I'm like, oh my God, this is brilliant. Of course, there's also awful stuff too, so
Yes.
it's not all brilliant. But you basically push yourself to write through as fast as you can. And actually, I just published a nonfiction book called The 5-Minute Author, How to Write a Novel, and it's available in ebook right now. It's going to be in audiobook soon as well as
Right.
print. And that also is, the idea of that is, a lot of people don't have a ton of time. No, not everyone has a month to sit and write a
Right.
novel. So the idea for that is you read a chapter, you listen to a chapter a day, and you go off and you write for 10 to 25 minutes a day.
Right.
Because really, in all honesty, most of the novels we read were written 30 minutes a day.
Right.
So if someone has an idea for a novel, I'd say, check out the books out there about writing and just kind of get yourself started. Because if you wait until you feel just right, you may never get that book written.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no perfect writing,
Oh, no.
particularly done getting something on the page.
Yes.
Yeah, so how many words feels like a good day to you when you're in creation mode?
So
Or how do you judge that? Is it minutes? Is it words?
I judge it sometimes in minutes, sometimes in words. Right now, I am so busy with so many things going on that my limit is 10 minutes a day. But
Yeah.
I do not go to bed until I've written those 10 minutes, that I've checked that off my list for the day.
Yeah.
Normally, it's about 1,000 words. Feels good to me when I'm not quite so busy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and how long will 1,000 words take you on a good day?
Oh, man. Let's see, on a good day, writing, it's easier when you're just writing versus editing. Right
Yeah.
now I'm in edit mode. So I'd say it takes me about 3 hours to edit 1,000 words.
Yeah. A
Because
lot shorter to write 1,000
yes,
words. Yeah.
right? 1,000 words could normally take me about maybe an hour
Yeah.
if I'm just writing.
So talk to us, without giving away too much, a high-level view of what the plot is, or what are people looking at?
Okay.
Yeah. what you can give away.
All right, so Toy of the Gods, a group of tourists are stranded in the Amazon by an Inca god, and they have to make their way out on foot past, let's see, we've got villagers who think they're out for their land, banana plantation owner with a secret to keep, and drunken monkeys.
Right.
So they have to get past all that and get back to civilization.
All right, awesome. People come up with pitches, so I'll get close here, so punch me if you don't like this one.
There's no punching. I will not be punching anybody.
It's one of those. So to me, it's kind of like, whoop, did I lose my mic? I did.
Oh, you did.
Yep, let me grab my mic here. To me, it was a little bit like Jurassic Park. Jurassic Park meets Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. It had that feel to it. And again,
Awesome.
it's not like either one of them, but it's one of those where it really makes you pay attention to what's going on. And I like the fact that it's written in relatively concise, small chapters. So it's I found it a great book. I'd read 3-4 chapters in the evening.
Nice.
And then go from there. So
Yeah, I'm not punching you on that. That was a good
that was
description.
okay. All right. So, that's it for the first segment. When we come back, we will be visiting more with Sonja Doing about her book, about writing, and maybe even talk a little bit about her athletic adventures. And coming up in the second half of the show, we have Daniel Ivy Soto. Senator Ivy Soto is going to be talking about the upcoming legislative session in Santa Fe. You're watching the ABQ show on ProView Networks.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
It's that time of the year, sports fans. It's the 10th annual Garden Swartz Great Southwest Track and Field Indoor Classic. It's February 9th in 2019. The best athletes from across the nation come together for one event. Check out more information at GreatSouthwestTrackAndFieldClassic.com.
What is glamour? Frailty. What is desire? Diamonds. They say a life lived without passion is hardly worth living.
Ma'am? Ma'am? Ma'am?
Dang, this one made me feel all special.
High school sports are back. The 2018-19 season kicks off, and you could watch every ProView Network broadcast live on the NFHS network. Every moment, from every game, from every sport, including all NMAA state championships. Get your highly discounted monthly pass now. Go to ProViewNetworks.com and sign up. Watch New Mexico's best. Car Crafters, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Are you sure we're supposed to be doing this?
Don't worry, I've watched him do it 1,000 times. Come on, what's the worst that can happen?
No! Bad dog!
Hi, welcome to Car Crafters. What happened?
Don't worry, we'll make it like it never happened.
Car Crafters, it's like it never happened.
Welcome back to the ABQ show. I'm Wally Drangmeister, and we're visiting with Sonja Doing, the author of Toy of the Gods, a book that I've read, a book with no pictures, so I've got my quota. No, I read quite a bit, so that's not unusual, but it's a fantastic book. And Sonja, I wanted to talk to you now. Where I met you is kind of at a networking event, and I know you're very active in the entrepreneurial business startup scene here in New Mexico. Talk to us about what some of the things you do in that regard.
Okay, so one of the things I do is I'm a lead organizer for 1 Million Cups, and 1 Million Cups is an event that Basically, an entrepreneur presents about their journey as an entrepreneur and as well as their challenges in their business. So it's very different than many other types of networking or presentations because they're not pitching their business.
So you're not trying to get a customer or an investor, right? Is that
right? Like
yeah.
when I presented as a business, I'm talking about how I got to the point of deciding to be a writer and what that process was like, and then what my challenges are in my business, because the audience is there, number one, to learn from your journey as an entrepreneur, because there's so many things we all go through that people can learn from, and then the audience is there to help you with your challenges. So during a Q&A, you get an opportunity for people to ask you challenging questions, but then also answer some of those challenging problems that you have and give you ideas.
Right.
And then afterwards, there's a lot of networking that happens, and it's such a supportive group of people. Like, it's amazing.
Yeah, and I've been Wednesday mornings.
Yeah.
And it's at the old Albuquerque High School.
Yep. At Fat Pipe ABQ.
Yeah. And what time does it start?
It starts at 9 a.m. every single Wednesday.
Yeah. And you don't need reservations. You just come on by. Yeah, I have not been in a while. I've gone a lot, and I will be going again later in the year. But it's a fantastic thing. See what it's all about. And they have coffee and, and donuts.
Free coffee, donuts by Noventum Software, and yeah, and anyone's welcome. And we have lots of chairs, but come early if you want a seat, because it usually fills up for standing room only at certain points. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to the Fat Pipe space in the old Albuquerque High School, it's just fantastic, and that's a great way to get to see that space too. But really, the event's fantastic. Wednesday mornings at 8. All right, so on your lower third, we had author, entrepreneur, and athlete. When we first met each other, you told me what you were getting ready to do. Talk about the athlete part.
Okay, so I am also known as author of pain in roller derby. I play with Duke City Roller Derby.
Yes.
And so it's a great sport. It's the fastest growing sport in the U.S.
Right.
Or maybe the world. I have to look up that statistic again. But it's played all over the world. And if for anyone who knows the old roller derby, there's no elbows to the face. There's no.
It's not like World Wrestling Federation or it.
Yes, not anymore.
Okay,
I mean,
it
kind of used to be.
What is it, the Bay City Bombers or whatever back in the old days?
Right.
So, yeah.
And so we play flat track derby, which basically makes it easier for roller derby teams to start up, because before you used to have the banked track.
Right.
And those things are just horrendous to have to take apart and to store. So we can play flat track pretty much anywhere there's a big enough space with a cement floor. And we put a track down. There's a lot of rules to roller derby, but it is a lot of athletic skill, because you've got each team fields 5 players, and one of those players is the jammer, and the jammer's job is to make points.
Right.
And you make points by getting around the track and getting past other opponents. And there, of course, the opponents are fighting to keep you behind them, so you have to know how to get past them.
All right, so, there's the saying, this isn't your father's Oldsmobile, but this is not your mother's roller derby.
Yes,
this
that
is
is
roller
correct.
derby, the sport, not the, and where are the matches, where, if somebody wants to watch roller derby, and I do, I've not made it yet, I will make it this year, so.
Well, so most of the matches will be at the Heights Community Center.
Yes.
And some, I don't know what the full plan is yet. We don't have the full schedule, but there might be some at the Expo New Mexico Center as well. And then we also travel to other cities to play. So I would say if you're interested, find Duke City Roller Derby page on Facebook and follow that, and you'll see when events come up.
All right. Now, what is your position in roller derby? What is your strength?
So I am a blocker and a jammer.
Okay.
So I'm working on jamming. Like, I'm a better blocker, but I like the idea of having the skill to sneak past people or to push people out of my way and make points.
All right. All right. Well.
Yeah. And if you want, we could talk more about, I'm also an organizer for Startup Weekend, which is coming up.
Okay, yeah, talk about that in your entrepreneurial. I know you're very active. Talk about that.
So startup weekend is kind of a crazy idea, but it's fun. You basically, Friday night, you come out with an idea for a business, and you propose that idea, excuse me, and you have like 30 seconds to tell the audience what it is. And then everyone votes on all the business ideas. And if your idea gets voted up, you get a chance to create a team from the people, excuse me, in the audience. And then Saturday and Sunday, you're building this business idea from scratch. And so if you're interested, that is through West, and that's going to be February 22nd.
All right.
And I really want a lot of people to come. And if you don't have an idea for a business, just come out and join a team.
Because you'll get to help somebody else with theirs and maybe jumpstart you.
Yes.
Now, how many people do you expect to be part of that event? What's your target? And then how many teams will potentially come out of that weekend?
So it all depends. Like, we need at least 40 people to have the event.
Right.
There's usually, I'd say there are about 6 teams that end up working through the weekend. And then you compete at the end for prizes and to be the best idea of the startup weekend. And so about 6 teams, and then of those 6 teams, I'd say at least 1 or 2 of those ideas actually turn into real businesses. So I've seen a women's startup weekend a couple years ago, Teen Years, was an idea brought up at the last minute by Trish Lopez, and she's still in business. She's got a business keep going, and it's teens helping seniors with technology.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I've heard them. I did hear them present, I believe, at 1 Million Cups. So, so real business comes out of this.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. It would seem like it'd be a great way to do very authentic, real networking, meaning you get to know some people and work on something together. And not that there's anything wrong with visiting over coffee, but it seems like it'd be a great way to get involved and with people who are doing that entrepreneurial thing here in Albuquerque.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're talking with Sonja Doing, the author of Toy of the Gods. She's an author, and she also helps writers work on their novels. So if I've thought about writing, what should I do? You know, maybe I wrote in high school, maybe I haven't written a lot, but there's this idea in my head that I think I would get out. What would you suggest?
Oh boy. Well, it depends. Is it a novel length or is it a short story length? It's a novel?
Yes.
All right. So I would say sit down and start working on it. Don't wait until it feels like the right time. Even if it's just, I'd say, go to a coffee shop and sit down and just take a stretch of time and start working on it.
Writers got to write.
Right, and then you probably, if you have an idea for a novel, you probably have at least a few scenes in your head of what needs to happen. So I would just start with those scenes. Don't worry about starting at the beginning of the novel. Just start where you know is going to be in the book. So for Toy the Gods, I started with a scene in the middle of the Amazon, and then I built the whole novel around that scene. So yeah, you don't have to start at the beginning. Yeah,
and I'm just you know, I'm encouraged that you could actually make some progress 10 minutes a day. You know, I mean, now that's not as easy as it sounds. You know, even 10 minutes takes discipline, but you don't need to have this 6-month period of time where you go off to the deserted island or whatever and just pound out the words to get something going. Right? 10 minutes a day is going to take you a while, but if you don't start at all, you're never going to get that novel done. Right. Yeah. So tell us again what projects you have in the works. Oh my gosh. Okay, so let's see. For Plot Duckies, I have a new event coming up, or the event coming up called the Short Story-a-thon. So that's 3 days of publishing a short story. I'm also working on the audiobook of The 5-Minute Author. And are you reading that, or is somebody else doing that for you, producing that for you? I'm reading The 5-Minute Author. Yeah. And then if that works out well, I'm going to do the audiobook of Toy of the Gods next. Okay, yeah. So that'll be me narrating on that as well. Yeah. So. Well, that's awesome. I mean, I have read it I love the audiobooks when I'm traveling around. New Mexico is a big place. To have something on an audiobook just opens up a you know, fantastic other things. So. Yeah. All right. So let's see. All right. So what's the best way to get in touch with you if people want to learn more or what you do?
Well, they can check out my website at sonjadoing.com, and that's Sonja with a J. Or they could check out plotduckies.com as well. That's my other website. And let's see, that's pretty much the best way to get a hold of me. You can also find me on all social media platforms. I love social media. And sign up for my email either on sonjadoing.com or plotduckies.com to get email updates on what's happening. Or come to 1 Million Cups every Wednesday morning and check out the whole entrepreneurial environment here in Albuquerque.
All right, well, it's been fantastic to visit with you again. I have read the book. It's great. I recommend everyone do it. I'm waiting for the movie. It's good to know that there might be an audiobook. I think I would listen to it again.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's fantastic. And just so you know, I really appreciate you being on the show. You are guest number 1 on episode number one of the ABQ show. And it's been fantastic to visit with you.
Cool.
And again, check out Sonja's work, sonjadoing.com. That's it for this segment. When we come back, we will be visiting with Senator Daniel Ivy Soto here on the ABQ show on ProView Networks.
The service department at Gala Chevrolet is clean, modern, and ready for you. Our master technicians service every make and model, including certified service on any GM vehicle. Service done right the first time, every time, right here at the all-new Gala Chevrolet.
Dream Style Remodeling has been wowing homeowners in New Mexico since 1989. Selected as Best Custom Home Remodeler for 3 consecutive years by readers of the Albuquerque Journal, we're also your exclusive provider for top home improvement brands like Renewal by Anderson, Four Seasons, Blaze King, and many others. Founded and headquartered in Albuquerque, Dream Style Remodeling is family-owned and now employs more than 500 people across the southwestern U.S. In fact, we've helped more than 60,000 homeowners improve their home in New Mexico, Arizona, California, Idaho, and West Texas. We're committed to providing a superior customer experience. We've earned 4.6 stars with hundreds of online reviews and have an A+ with the BBB. Dream Style Remodeling is a proud supporter of UNM Athletics. Visit our beautiful 10,000 square foot showroom at 1460 Renaissance Boulevard across from Sam's Club, or dreamstyleremodeling.com to make your home remodeling dreams come true.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a #1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Folks, there's no other way but to be all in. Either he's Lord of all, or he is not Lord at all. And you can experience the real and authentic, true life change that only God can provide to humanity. See, when we truly encounter Jesus and purpose to know him and follow his teachings, #life change will occur.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz.